Lance, in our last meeting in Ireland, you told me that for the next year you are not sure to be able to beat Alberto in the Tour de France, but one thing is sure, you will be stronger than in 2009. Now you know the team roster completely. Are you agree with what you say?
That I will be stronger, the team
will be stronger. You will be stronger because you know your level, and now with the teammate you have.
Yeah. Well, I think that despite being 1 year older, I will benefit from the season that we just finished. So all of the training that was included in that season, the Giro and the Tour, which is the first time I've ever done that, that will benefit me going forward in 2010. This December already feels different than last December, just on the bike and the position on the bike. I struggled with my position on the bike last year. As far as the team goes, I mean, I think that we have the best team in the world. And if you look at the Tour de France from last year, it was safe to say we had the strongest team in the race. But I think the important thing to understand is that of the 9 riders from last year's Tour on Team Astana, 8 of them are now on Team Radio Shack. So we took the vast majority of the riders from the team that we wanted, and therefore it remains a strong team. I mean, I think we lack that super high-level favorite like Alberto, but I like our chances with the strong guys we have.
Do you have an idea more precise about the schedule of the next year, except TDU and Tour de France?
Did you know that question was coming?
Yes.
Well, I don't even need to look at the paper, but we'll start in Down Under in Australia. What? Yeah, I got that. And then we go to Murcia and Catalonia. Those are really the only 2 fixtures. Obviously, Tour of California in May, and the Tour in July. So there will be other events that fill in around that. You know, maybe some time in Northern Europe for some cobblestone exposure in preparation for the Tour. I have to see what happens in late April, and then also have to decide about June, if it's the Dauphiné or if it's the Tour de Suisse.
So you choose between the Murcia or Paris?
I think we're going to Murcia, correct?
Yeah.
He says Murcia. Tell ASO that I wanted to go to Paris. But he made me go to Murcia. Yeah.
So you had a very interesting interview with the Sydney Morning Herald last month, and where Rupert Guinness, I believe, was asking you about the conflict with Alberto, and you said that you used to thrive on conflict and create conflict, but that this one was something real, that maybe was unintended. And you said that you had changed from 10 years ago. So have you made a change? I mean, do you need the conflict? Is it going to be Deathmatch 2.0 next year? Or are you going to try to avoid the drama?
Yeah, I think for people that have been around cycling, if you go back over the last 10 years, I mean, there was always this built-in conflict with Jan. And it was the build-up to the Tour and the rivalry with Jan and my preparation versus his preparation. And that happens in sport. It happens in all levels of sport. Endurance sports, contact sports, team sports. There's always that rivalry. That's what you all want. That's what people pay attention to, and everybody sits in front of their TV screens to watch come game day. And then there was a bit of that build-up with, Beloki was a big factor for a couple of years, so there was always build-up around that, and somebody would say something, but we were good about just taking little nuggets here and there, just like all coaches do. I mean, I've sat in on plenty of team meetings at the University of Texas football team, and believe me, at the end of every team meeting, the coach posts up what the other team's players and coaches said in the press. And that motivates their guys. That's what teams do. So we did that, of course, and some of it was real, some of it wasn't so real, but we used it to our advantage for ourselves and for our guys. But the conflict last year, I mean, that was a a personality conflict. But, you know, I mean, that's not to say my personality is good or bad, or his is good or bad, it's just different. And so we're on separate teams now, and I'm sure that he's glad he went left, and I'm glad I went right. But I wouldn't change the experience. I mean, I wanted to do what I wanted to do, and I was loyal to Johan, so I had to be there. I couldn't be anywhere else. And it just didn't work out. But, you know, on the bike, I'll say Alberto is the biggest and best talent that we have now, and as I've said a couple times, might be the biggest and best we've ever seen. Off the bike, you know, not worth saying.
Do you need that personally to motivate you, or can you do without?
Oh no! This is good. It's different. I mean, I'm realistic. And I'm also come from the perspective of having been on the team with him, and I saw physically how good he was in the race. But I also saw mentally and emotionally how strong he is off the bike. And so I'm not a fool. I know I've sized up plenty of competition in my day. He's going to be very, very difficult to beat, and some would say impossible. He's a complete rider, and just tough to beat that somebody that can climb and time trial that well. No. It'll be interesting to see it play out, I think, but we'll see.
You mentioned before about the build-up is going to be incredible to the Tour this summer, partly because of what you've been talking about. Will you look forward to that? And are there any great rivalries that in other sports you've liked, Federer and Nadal, and talked about a lot? Or a team sport that's
Well, now everybody in boxing, they want to see Pacquiao and Mayweather. That's what you want. So, yeah, that's what, it'll be interesting too, because I think Andy Schleck plays an interesting role here, and I think he's somebody that, you know, the true cycling, cynics would look at it and say, well, talent-wise, they're better matched. And so, obviously, Alberto first and Andy second last year, and perhaps that's the big showdown. The more that we could let that roll out and play, the better for us, because of the less distraction. But a lot depends on the buildup of the season too, and you know, how my preparation goes, how successful I can be in the early season races. Obviously, the more successful you are, the bigger the buzz, the greater the buzz, and you know, the press and the fans will run with that. But again, I think it's good for cycling. It's good for cycling, but better that both he and I try to distance ourselves from that, because it can become a distraction, and neither of us want that.
Would you like to meet him before the Tour? Anywhere?
In a race or for a beer? In a race, I mean, no problem in the race. Yeah. I mean, all that matters, I think, for both of us would be the Tour. Although there are other races you'd like to have success in, that's the one that's 50 times bigger than anything else. So, yeah.
Hey Lance, I'm Bob Cullen from Cycle 2. What means more to you this week? Getting the guys back together, or seeing the report that global cancer deaths are down?
Mm-hmm. You know, I saw that this morning when I was in the paper this morning when I got up, and then it was streaming across the TV this morning. You know, I always view that with mixed emotions, and on one hand, I'm incredibly happy and optimistic about that, because we see a decline in death. And I think the number that came out this morning was based on figures here in the United States. But I still see, I mean, if you go from 561,000 deaths a year to 560,500, that is a drop. But you're still losing 560,500 people every year. It's way too many. So both sides of it, you have to start to see some decline. And ultimately, you know, that if we do our job, that'll trickle down to nothing. But it's still, if you cut off 500 or 1,000 a year, it's still one American every minute. And that's way too many for me. So I also view it from that perspective. And I think that's healthy and honest, a healthy and honest message to tell the people that we just have a lot of work to do, and we're dealing with an epidemic that encompasses 500, 600 different types of malignancies. This is not one disease that we're going to come around and fix tomorrow. We just got to keep chipping away sort of cell type by cell type, and ultimately, I think will make a difference.